Covey frames your life as the product of your paradigms, the mental maps you use to interpret everything, arguing that behavior doesn't truly change until the map changes. If you keep trying to solve problems at the same level of thinking that created them, you just rearrange symptoms. The deeper work is to shift the way you see so that what you do becomes naturally different. That is the inside-out promise. Real growth starts in the invisible interior, your principles, motives, assumptions, and habitual patterns, and then expresses itself outward in relationships and results. From there, Covey lays down the journey the book will take you on. Moving from dependence, where life is basically, you do it for me, or you made me feel this, or I can't because, to independence, where you carry yourself, choose, and take responsibility. And finally, to interdependence, where your life becomes genuinely collaborative and generative, creating outcomes with others that you cannot create alone. The sequencing matters. He insists that private victory must come before public victory, meaning you don't build lasting trust through tricks or charm. You build it on the solid ground of inner integrity and self-mastery. Habit 1. Be proactive. Begins like a hinge that swings your whole life into a new position. Covey asks you to notice the space between what happens to you and what you do next, and to realize that in that space is your freedom, your responsibility. Animals react. Humans can reflect on their own thinking and choose a response. He explains this capacity through 4 human endowments: self-awareness, watching your own thoughts; imagination, creating a new inner picture; conscience, sensing right and wrong;
and independent will acting on principle rather than impulse.
Proactivity, in his definition, is not being aggressive or controlling other people. It is controlling the inner point of origin of your behavior. The weather, your boss, your spouse, the economy, none of these are denied, but they are no longer the author of your character. You choose your response, and you also accept that while you are free to choose actions, you are not free to choose consequences. Natural law still applies, like stepping in front of a train. The habit is forged in small moments. The irritations, delays, and disappointments that tempt you into blame or excuse are the daily gym where you practice owning your life. With that inner freedom established, habit 2, begin with the end in mind, shifts you from mere effort to true direction. Covey's central claim here is that all things are created twice, first mentally, then physically. If you don't consciously design the first creation, you will live a script written by other people by family expectations, cultural pressure, fear, and the invisible need for approval. He warns that you can spend years climbing a ladder only to discover it was leaning against the wrong wall. You were busy, maybe even successful, but not aligned with what ultimately matters. So he introduces personal leadership as the ability to decide what kind of person you want to be at the end of your life, and use that vision as a measuring rod for everything now. The practice becomes writing a personal mission statement, your personal constitution. Not a slogan you frame once, but a living document that takes deep reflection, revision, and honesty. He even has you use the imagination deliberately. Picture your own funeral. Picture what the people closest to you would say if they spoke with total truth. Picture your long-term relationships and your professional legacy. The point is not morbid. Covey is trying to give you a vantage point high enough to see what is genuinely important, and then to build your days from that clarity rather than from urgency or comparison. Then comes the gritty execution. Habit 3, Put first things first. If habit 2 is deciding what first means, habit 3 is having the discipline to actually live it. Covey reframes time management as personal management. The real question is not how to do more, but how to do what matters most with consistency. He lays out the 4 quadrants: important, urgent, important, not urgent, urgent, not important, not urgent, not important, and he pushes you toward the deceptively quiet heart of effectiveness. Quadrant 2, the important but not urgent work of prevention, planning, relationship building, creative thinking, and renewal. The insight is almost painful because it's so familiar. Quadrant 2 rarely screams, so it gets sacrificed to interruptions. Quadrant 3, and to numbing trivialities. Quadrant 4, until life punishes you with crises. Quadrant 1. Covey's method is to build your schedule around roles and weekly goals, rather than around a frantic reaction to incoming demands. You learn to say no to the less important with enough tact and inner conviction that you don't feel guilty every time someone else declares their request urgent. Done deeply, habit 3 is where your mission statement stops being a nice idea and becomes an operating system. Your priorities become visible in how you spend your time, not in what you claim to value. At this point, the book deliberately turns outward. Covey calls the next stage public victory. But he's careful. Interdependence is not weakness. It is a higher-level strength, and it's only possible when you're not needy, when you can stand on your own 2 feet. He says the most important contribution you bring to any relationship is not what you say or do, but what you are, because people can sense when behaviors are just techniques without an inner core. To describe relational trust in a way you can actually work with, he introduces the emotional bank account. Relationships have balances. You make deposits through courtesy, kindness, honesty, openness, keeping commitments, and clarifying expectations. You make withdrawals through disrespect, broken promises, manipulation, and inconsistency. When the balance is high, relationships can absorb mistakes without collapsing. When it's low, every word becomes risky and tense.
This becomes the relationship physics behind the next 3 habits.
Habit 4, think win-win, is Covey's attempt to reshape your default posture in human interaction. He's not talking about being nice or splitting the difference. He's talking about training your heart and mind to seek mutual benefit so that agreements are stable, not coerced. He walks you through common scripts. People live by win, lose dominance, lose, win appeasement, lose hostility, and the lone win of self-interest that doesn't care what happens to the other side and then offers win as the only paradigm that sustains relationships and results over time. He adds an important safety valve: win or no deal, meaning you don't have to force togetherness. If a mutually beneficial path isn't there, you can part without resentment, with tremendous emotional freedom. But he also warns that win is not a negotiation hack. It requires character, integrity, maturity, courage balanced with consideration, and an abundance mentality that doesn't treat life like one scarce pie. And it requires alignment. Agreements must focus on results, systems must reward cooperation rather than competition, and processes must separate the person from the problem and insist on objective criteria. In other words, win is built like architecture: inner character, relational trust, clear agreements, supportive systems, and fair processes. Habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood, deepens the relational core by attacking a subtle form of selfishness: the urge to fix people before you've actually heard them. Covey points out that most people listen with the intent to reply, not to understand. They're already composing their answer, filtering your words through their autobiography, and therefore missing your actual meaning and feeling.
In the quiet space between us, let us seek to understand. With light and trust, we will see the truth.
He proposes empathetic listening as the discipline that changes everything. Listening not just to words, but to emotions, to context, to what is said, and what is not said until the other person feels genuinely understood. He frames it as the professional standard, diagnose before you prescribe. Just as a doctor, lawyer, or engineer gathers real understanding before offering solutions, you don't rush to advise until you've first built comprehension and trust. Only then do you earn the right to be understood, and when you do speak, Covey urges you to present your ideas clearly, specifically, visually, and contextually in the frame of the other person's concerns. He even offers a classical sequence ethos, pathos, logos, to remind you that credibility and emotional alignment usually must come before logic can land. Habit 5 is where communication stops being performance and becomes connection, where influence becomes something you deserve rather than something you try to extract. With trust built and understanding practiced. Habit 6. Synergize becomes possible. Covey's word for creative cooperation, where the whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts. Synergy is not compromise, where both sides leave with a smaller version of what they wanted. It's the creation of a third alternative that neither side could have produced alone. Covey emphasizes that synergy feeds on differences, mental, emotional, psychological, because difference is the raw material of creativity when it's held inside a climate of respect and trust. If trust is low, you get defensiveness and legalistic protection. If trust is medium, you get polite compromise. If trust is high, you get breakthrough solutions that feel surprising and alive. The experience Covey is aiming for is that you enter a conversation willing to be changed by it, and because both sides are anchored in principles and mutual benefit, the process produces something better than anyone's private plan. Synergy is, in Covey's framing, the visible evidence that the earlier habits are real proactivity, vision, priority, mutual benefit, and deep understanding converge into a creative force. Finally, Covey refuses to let the book become a temporary surge of motivation, and Habit 7, Sharpen the Saw, is his built-in antidote to burnout and decline. He introduces PC balance, production, results, versus production capability, the asset that produces results. If you chase output while neglecting the machine, the goose, the saw, whatever metaphor you choose, you will win short-term and lose long-term. So he calls you to renewal in 4 dimensions: physical, exercise and bodily discipline, spiritual reconnecting with the sources of meaning and values that give leadership to your life, mental, reading, writing, learning, reflection rather than passive consumption, and social, emotional renewal through relationships, service, and creative cooperation. The crucial thing is that renewal is mostly Quadrant 2. It's important, but rarely urgent, so it must be chosen proactively. Covey describes a daily private victory pattern of regular renewal as the foundation that makes daily public victory possible. Without renewal, the habits decay into strained effort. With renewal, they become part of who you are. The book closes by returning to the inside-out theme one last time, now with the whole structure behind it. Covey repeats that the deepest human freedom is the ability to stand between stimulus and response and choose. Once you accept that, you can no longer honestly live as a victim of circumstances or of your past scripting. But he also insists this is not a one-time transformation. It's an upward spiral of growth. Learn, commit, do, and then learn again at a higher level. As you practice the habits, you're not merely managing time or improving relationships, you're reshaping your character and your paradigms so that effectiveness becomes increasingly natural. How was this summary? Please comment. Subscribe for more book summaries. Visit my playlist, 100 Greatest Books of All Time.